2024 doesn't have to determine how your 2025 will evolve. Because like this, you can decide to completely change your life, to turn it upside down, and to leave not one stone untouched. However, a lot of human beings believe that change is impossible. You cannot be changed. You have these circumstances, you live in this place, you have this life going on, and change is simply not possible. And they live this story of themselves in this same identity, living the same life year and year and year, in and out, for decades, and they never change, and because they claim they cannot and no one can. However, you can change. You can completely change your identity, and your past doesn't have to determine your present and your future. Obviously, there are some things that you cannot change, and you just have to live the life and continue living life with what you did in the past. However, when you look at the broader perspective, how you live life, how you view life, how you view people, how you do relationships, how you do work, what you do for work, do you do your passion, are you living in hate, and are you constantly complaining, or are you enjoying the present moment and being grateful? Those things you can change. And if you change those things, if you change your mindset about life, if you work on yourself, if you heal, if you become stronger mentally human being, if you focus on your physical health, if you treat your body well, if you treat your relationships well, you can just completely change your life. Because I also was once, years ago, before I started healing and focusing on becoming a better version of myself, I was a completely different human being. I thought that life doesn't have meaning. I thought that we are just all doomed to miserable existence, and that I am never gonna be happy in my life, and that I am just gonna suffer whole life, and nothing is ever gonna be nice. And now I'm a completely different human being. I live based on completely different mindset. I changed my identity, and I'm not living based on how my past went. Because if I would be doing that, I would be just pitying myself. I would be setting excuses. I would be saying, yeah, I cannot accomplish this because of that and that and that, because I was born into circumstances that didn't serve me, because I have this environment around me and it doesn't serve me, because I have to do that and that, and I would just set excuses and excuses rather than doing things that are changing my life, that are helping me to build the life of my dreams. Because if I would be living based off past, I would be victimizing myself. But this is not a mindset that you want, because if you're gonna be victimizing yourself, you never reach your full potential. You never tap into who you truly are. You stay in that comfort zone that is very uncomfortable, in fact, and you just keep repeating one year after another, living the same life. But don't you feel that there's something more about it? There's something that you feel like your life could be different, like your life could be better. And you don't even need to be super down and suffer and think about life as a horrible existence. You could be dealing with a certain situation in life. Let's say, very common example, are relationships. If you're gonna be telling yourself this story over and over again, men are horrible, they cannot be trusted, I will never find a good man for myself, you know how your life will evolve? You most likely won't find a man for yourself that is good and that is honorable and respectful, because you're telling yourself this story. And that's exactly how you live based on your past, because something happened in your past, and based on that you're telling yourself this story, and it's going again and again and again and again. And you know why? Because it's a protective mechanism. Why? You were hurt. Maybe you went through a breakup. Maybe someone cheated on you. And then you take this story from the past. Someone cheated, someone betrayed me. And you apply it to the present moment and to the future moment. You are taking this scenario that maybe happened once, maybe happened multiple times, maybe many times, and you generalize how your life is gonna go based on those situations, based on what happened to the past. But isn't it a pity? You are basically scripting your own life based off past. And then you cannot be surprised when your life is evolving in exactly the same way as your past is, because you live based on the stories of the past. So what you want to do is to change the story in your mind. You can very easily identify what stories you live by, because you tell them yourself all the time. You tell them to the people. I know so many people who literally complain about relationships when we stick to this example, and they keep saying that the other gender is just horrible and unpredictable and they always cause pain. Women are horrible, men are horrible, everyone is horrible. And guess what? That's exactly what they see. That's exactly the people they see, because they set the filter on it. And the important thing is here that you have to catch yourself. You have to get yourself telling this story. If you have someone who you can trust very well, ideally someone who has some kind of retrospective and who can like observe very nicely what is going on, that's amazing. You can ask them like, what are some of my patterns that I repeat? What are the stories that I tell you about my life? And you know, not like general story like what happened and gossip and stuff like that, but what are the stories that you live by? What stories are you telling about yourself that you believe? And this person can help you identify them. However, you can also observe it on your own. Firstly, what you speak about and how you speak about things. Secondly, how you think about things. Because if you have this story like, I am not worthy enough, then you have this story constantly running in your mind. This story is reminded to you all the time. And if it's specifically something that is very painful and hurtful, it's gonna reoccur multiple times a day. It's gonna be like, I cannot do this. I am not enough. I cannot take this opportunity. I will disappoint everyone. This is the story that goes into your mind. So you can catch that one. And another thing that you can do to catch those stories that you tell yourself is to journal. You can journal about, what do I believe about relationships? And then you kind of list it down. And relationships are difficult. Relationships always fail after a few years. Relationships always go downhills, and you can observe those stories, and then you can ask yourself, how are those stories visible in my own life? Because I am guaranteeing you they are there, they are in your life. So if you want to live differently in 2025, it is very good for you, and I recommend so much to identify the stories that are distracting your present and your future the most. The stories that are so preventing you from being the best self, the stories that you keep yourself over and over in your head and you just keep spinning about it and thinking about it, those you have to identify and then rewrite them. How do you rewrite a story? So you identify this story. You have, for example, men are always horrible. You have to convince yourself that the other thing is true. Obviously, there are bad men. And there are also good men, though. So you have to identify that you deserve a good man. Good men are out there, and I deserve one. And you have to convince yourself that this story is true. How? First of all, you can repeat it. That's why people do affirmations, to keep this story going and to kind of like write it into the brain, because the more you repeated the story that you believe now so many times that it's so deeply engraved, and your mission is to engrave something even deeper, to engrave the good story even deeper. So you have to repeat. That's why it's gonna take a long time, because you repeated this story so many times. Now you have to rewrite it. So repetition. Then you can try to find some proofs in your reality. So if you're gonna be looking at men, try to search for a good one that does something good, that is respectful, that is acting very nicely. That's a proof of your new story. So you repeat and you find the proof. And if you have this story, the old one that you want to get rid of in your brain. You have to be kind of like an advocate in your own brain. You have to be like, no, this is not what we're doing anymore. Like, you served me well. This was a story that served the purpose of preserving me, of protecting me. However, this is no longer working. It's sabotaging me. It's blocking my full potential. So thank you, but no, this is not true. This is the truth. And you tell the new story. It's a mind game, basically. It's a mind game, and a lot of things are when it comes to healing, because you have those stories that you repeat yourself, and sometimes when it's too much and it's overwhelming, that's when you kind of like break down and spiral down. But essentially, the stronger you become when it comes to your mindset, the more easy it's gonna be for you to catch those stories, to be like, no, we're not doing this anymore, and to rewrite them by telling yourself a different story, finding the proof and repetition. And that's basically how you can live a different life than you lived last year, and you can just redefine yourself completely, because your identity is based on the stories that you believe about yourself. It's also obviously based on your personality and stuff, but you can work with a lot of things. You can just completely rediscover who you are, rewrite who you are and who you want to be, what your life will look like. Because if you let your past determine your present and your future, it's always going to be the same, and you're just going to repeat year after year, and it's just going to live the same life over and over. This will be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Bye.